So this video will hopefully help you tie down your motorcycle in a safe fashion. I do things a little bit differently than a lot of people do, and I'll try to explain what I'm doing as I go on. You have to excuse the voiceover, but leaf noise is not super exciting. So get yourself all lined up. You're going to put your bike in neutral. See, left hand, no clutch, right hand covering the brake. Get yourself up a little head of steam and go straight from, if you can, the back to the front. Now my trailer's got a little hills in it, so sometimes I have to stop, but that's why you just automatically grab the brake. Once you're all the way up to the front, you can put the bike in gear if you like. I leave it in neutral, and then you can put it on the side stand on the trailer. Always make sure that you're stable before you step off, and look where you're stepping so you don't trip and fall. Get out your tie-down straps. Now these are the straps that BMW motorcycles arrive from the manufacturer to the dealers in the crates with. They're not special stretchy straps. They're not ratchet straps. They're just straps. They've got a little tooth mechanism. You squeeze it like a button. It opens up a little gap. You put the free end through. You tighten it down, and you're all set. I'm going to use 2 on the front, 2 on the rear, and 1 on the front wheel. And the 1 on the front wheel is really just to keep the bike from rolling backwards if something else should happen. It's not critical. You don't need to do it. And you do need to be careful. That's the short strap I'm going to use on the front. You do need to be careful that you don't catch your valve stem, because those will snap right off if you put too much pressure on them. They're tough, but they're not that tough. You don't want to, and certainly if your motorcycle should start to roll backwards on your trailer or in your truck or something like that, that would be bad. So the main reason I tie down the front wheel like this is because I don't have a chock. If I had a chock, I probably wouldn't bother with this. So you definitely want to use a short strap, because otherwise you have a whole lot of extra strap flapping in the breeze, and you don't want that. And make sure that if your strap has a metal fitting like mine does, that you don't tighten it against the wheel. That will definitely scratch the wheel, the paint on, or finish on your wheel. So always make sure that that's against the rubber of the tire, which will then again make it easier to get off. So here's the actual tie down that I'm going to use, along with a loop through soft strap. So the soft strap is going to go around a fitting of some sort. Depending on what kind of motorcycle you have, you can do it a number of different ways. I never tie a motorcycle down by the handlebars. I always go through something else. And here I'm going to the crash bars. Now, you definitely want to make sure that you are 100% positive your crash bars are secure to your motorcycle, properly torqued using whatever thread lock compound that the manufacturer tells you to. I know for a fact that these crash bars are installed properly, and every bolt has been torqued properly and checked. I had them off not too long ago to do some work on the bike, and put them back in place myself, torqued every bolt myself. So here I'm just snugging it down, not super tight. I want to be able to stand the bike up a little bit, but once I move to the other side, I want to be able to pull the bike towards me and get it vertical. So now I'm heading around to the other side, as you can see. You have to excuse me for blocking out my friend's license plate. You don't need to know his license plate number. And I'm putting another tie down on the other side. You want to do them parallel. You want to do them in the same rough plane, so that you've got equal pressure on the front end of the bike. And that strap's too short, I decided, so I'm going to get a longer strap. And that's just because the bike isn't upright yet. If the bike was already upright, if I had a helper holding the bike upright, I probably could have used that strap, but I don't, and I'm not. So longer strap, that will allow me to pull the bike upright as I'm compressing That will allow me to pull the bike upright as I'm compressing the front end. They're a little fiddly, but you get them eventually if you pay attention. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stand the bike up. You can see it compresses the front end as I stand the bike up. Now you do want to get the bike down nice and firm. Having a little trouble with that. But you don't need to bottom out the forks. Really all you're doing is connecting the bike to the trailer in a fashion that will keep it from falling over. So do it a little bit at a time, just like that, and you will be fine. You want to get the bike upright enough that you can retract the kickstand, side stand, whatever you want to call it. I was just checking to see how vertical it was. The camera angles kind of prevent it from looking vertical, but you got to trust me. I'm trying to get it as close to vertical as I can. And you can see those soft straps give you a good distance, and that will protect your paint work, your body work. Smack the kickstand until it retracts. And once again, if you have a helper holding it upright, this is all a lot easier and a lot less incremental. You can have them hold it down and kind of just tighten everything as you go. You can see the trailer rock there as I pull on the strap. And that's really what I'm looking for. When I move the bike, if I give the bike a shake, I don't want the bike to move at all. I want the trailer, the whole thing as a unit, to move. So just back and forth a little bit until you're satisfied that the bike is upright and that it's steady. And then you want to tie off your extra strap. That's mostly to protect your motorcycle. If that strap flaps in the wind as you're driving down the road, it could damage your paint. It's not going to be a lot of damage, but if you have a really expensive motorcycle with super glossy or custom paint or custom pinstriping or anything like that, custom graphics, you definitely do not want the end of a strap slapping against it for 100 miles or any at all. So you can see the whole thing is shaking pretty good. So I'm pretty confident I've got the bike tied down. A lot of people will tell you don't need to tie down the back of the bike. I am one of those people, but because I also am an overabundantly safe person, I want to make sure that bike isn't going anywhere if those front straps come loose. So I'm not going to compress the rear end as much as I would the front. And I'm just putting that on the racks that hold the side cases. Those are made by Jesse Luggage. Now they're obviously not on the bike, but the racks are. And you can see I didn't tighten it down a lot. I'm not going to go back and tighten it down a super lot. It just needs to be snug. And that basically keeps the bike from rolling the other direction. So the front straps keep it from rolling backwards. The rear straps will keep it from rolling forwards. And once again, it's up against the front bar of the trailer. I've got that other strap on it to keep it from moving too much. And this really wouldn't be necessary if I had a chock, but I don't. So I'm being extra safe. Plus, I've been pulled over before by police who wanted to make sure that I had a secure load on the trailer, things like that. It just avoids a lot of questions. People see you with straps on the front and the rear, and they're much less likely to hassle you about your bike being on the trailer. So secure the tailgate of your trailer if it has one. Do some more shaking. Give it a real good shake. Check the rear end. Eyeball the straps. Wave bye-bye. So a lot of people have different philosophies on tying motorcycles down. I'm one of those people that really kind of just transports a motorcycle when I have to. That's just the way it goes. I'm not going to get into a big harangue about trailering bikes. I see bikes on trailers all the time. I ride when I can, I trailer when I have to, and that's just the way it is. You do want to remember when you are trailering a motorcycle, or even if it's just in the back, if you have a pickup truck and it's in the back of the pickup truck, that you basically pretend like you're on a wet road or a slick road. Take a little longer to accelerate, plan a little longer to slow down, make your turns and lane changes smooth and gradual. If you drive a stick shift like I do, make your acceleration a little smoother and concentrate on keeping your shifting clean and smooth. It just reduces all the stress on the bike and on the trailer and on your vehicle. So everybody say hi to George. Say hi, George.
Hello.
George runs Gridlock Motors, which is where I do all my work on all my bikes, even if they're not BMWs. And even though I trailered the KTM down here, George is going to show us why I do it the way I do it, because I'm used to doing it on BMWs. So we got this R1200R, which is a couple generations old, and you can tell because it has an A-arm on the front instead of traditional forks, and the A-arm gives it that mono posto suspension up front instead of regular fork springs. So George is going to tell me why he taught me not to tie down BMWs from the handlebars, and that's because, take it away, George.
Because there is a better way. On these bikes, it's easy to just come in, wrap a soft strap around your fork tube, and that gets you away from all the body work. Doesn't put any stress on the handlebars. If you do go to the handlebars and you have a small trailer like Wes has, you can see you'd have a hard time getting an angle and not hitting the tank. Also, a lot of BMW people like to put bar risers, and that adds a lot more stress on the top end there. Since it's not a traditional top end, it's got a ball joint in here, and these posts are, I want to say, 8mm threads. So you can actually, if you go too tight, you can actually bend things up in the top end here. And I never am a fan of grabbing grips, because you get heated grips and it screws them up, and then you've got a lot more leverage to cause even more damage on the top end of your bike.
So that, my friends, is why I tied my KTM down using the crash bars instead of the handlebars. Thank you very much, George. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
It just reduces all the stress on the bike and on the trailer and on your vehicle. You never want to exceed the tongue weight of your vehicle. You never want to exceed the tow capacity of your vehicle. You want to make sure that you follow all the manufacturer's warnings for trailering. You want to make sure all the lights work.
Hi to George.
Also, it's a good idea to pull over every now and then if you're on a really long trip to check your motorcycle and make sure that it is still safely secured, tightly bound down and not coming loose. On a long trip, I might check it 3 or 4 times a day. On this trip, which was only about 100 miles, I checked it once about 10 minutes after I got going, and then I didn't really worry about it until I got to my destination, which was George's shop, also known as Gridlock Motors. You just heard from George talking about the difference between tying down a regular motorcycle and tying down a BMW. Now I'm at the shop, and I'm going to take the bike off the trailer by myself once again. Yes, I could go inside and grab George and have him come help me, but I'm doing the whole thing by myself to show you that it's really easy to do by yourself. So stage it if you can, put the kickstand down to get ready. I was really just testing it. You can see as soon as I loosen that strap on the back, the whole rear end of the bike unloads. Keep track of your straps, otherwise they end up getting on the ground and getting wet. You don't want, nobody wants a wet, nasty strap. So you can see when I loosen this strap, the bike just moves a little bit. That's because it's really already been unloaded. But neither of those straps was super tight. And once again, easier with a helper, but not impossible. Certainly, it's just a lot more back and forth when you do it by yourself. So you want to do things slowly. You want to do things incrementally and take your time so that you don't hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt your back. If you're middle-aged like I am, your back is not your strong point anymore. So the first one you want to loosen is the strap opposite the kickstand so that it will load the kickstand. Once the weight of the motorcycle is on the kickstand, then you can take the strap off the side with the kickstand. So you start on the side away from the kickstand. You can see the bike unloads a little bit. And notice I didn't take the strap all the way off. I probably could have, but I don't like to take the front straps all the way off until I am 100% positive I've got the bike's weight on the kickstand. So then I'll take this one all the way off first. And this is a close-up of the soft tie-down. I'll look up where I bought it and put that at the bottom of the video right about now. I got them with straps that went along with them, and I never use the straps. I just use the soft ties. They're real easy to use. You just put it around a pipe, loop it through, and then put your tie-down strap through the other end of the loop. They weren't very expensive either. I think a pair of them was $10. Check and make sure that the weight's on the kickstand again. And now I'll take the strap off the far side from the kickstand. Boy, that's a pretty bike, isn't it? That's a lovely orange color. Once the rest of the straps are off, then you can take the front like I did here. And yes, I realize it's tied around one of the spokes to take up the slack. Probably not something you want to tie real tight. If the bike was to come loose, it would probably snap a spoke if it's tied real tight. But frankly, if the bike comes loose enough to mess with the spoke you tied the free end of your strap around, one broken spoke is not going to be the biggest thing on your mind. Because, if the bike flies off the trailer, one spoke isn't going to bother you. So getting the bike off the trailer is basically the opposite of putting the bike on the trailer, but you want to control it. You don't want to let yourself get going real fast because unless you're an owl, you can't see behind yourself very well. So left hand, no clutch. Right hand, you're going to cover the brake. Bike's in neutral. And you can see the front wheel slides a little bit because I'm heavy on the brake. There, it slid. I'm heavy on the brake to make sure that the bike doesn't go faster than I want it to, get out of control, get away from me, and end up on the ground. That's one of the things that crash bars are good for, but with my luck, I'd end up breaking the plastic. So now I'm just going to stick it here on our handicap parking space, which since I'm a KTM rider, I am legally qualified to park in any handicap space. That's a well-known fact across the United States. It only applies to KTM riders. If you ride any other brand of motorcycle, you may not park in the handicap spot unless you have a handicap placard for your motorcycle. But they understand what's wrong with KTM riders and they let us have them. So once everything is cleaned up and secure, you're all done. That's what that little symbol means. It's something, I don't know if everybody does it, but my family does. And then you can get your bike under cover and return the trailer to the friend that borrowed or loaned it to you. And you're all done. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching Nicht Uber Max, and we'll see you again soon.